See if we have sound and everything is working okay. Why is my mouth not moving? Is my mouth moving? Is my mouth moving? Just, I think it has trouble in the dark. Oops, it's going into my stream. The headphones stopped working. I'm pretty sure it should be working better now. Or am I not opening my mouth enough? Yeah, I'll check that thing later as well. So what are we here mainly for today? Okay, I don't need to be monitoring my own voice. I don't like it anyway. I actually have a better voice here.
It appears that you have provided information related to a data file or software interface for processing EEG, electroencephalogram, data. This interface seems to have options for adjusting various parameters and performing analysis on EEG signals. Here's a brief explanation of the elements mentioned in the provided text.
Right, that's right. Wait, I forgot to post about this stream. Give me... Let's do it now. How do I? Yep, we got it in there. Better continue monitoring my sound just in case. Let's do Twitter quickly. I'll ignore the name change. And let's also do Twitter. Sorry, Twitter. LinkedIn. Okay, let's see. So we have this tool. It should be similar to what we did yesterday. AG spectrum, except in this one we'll have options to remove some of the noise. So the tool should look pretty much the same. I'm still using 3.5, GPT 3.5, and I understand, yeah, I'm trying to generate prompts first, mainly so I don't reach the prompt limit, which is currently sitting at 50 messages every 3 hours. Well, might as well. We're already 5 minutes in. Let's start popping stuff in. Let's actually open another tab with the new tool, so it will replace this thing. We actually can generate an image out of this. So that it goes into ChatGPT. Describe the image, obviously. Yes, it is a user interface. You are absolutely right. And now, yeah, I probably can close GPT 3.5. Plot 5. What's the plot 5 that it keeps? Ah, yeah, there is a plot 5 there. That's a bit odd. Yeah, you can ignore that for sure. And now we should have more context. So IEG. Yeah, that's the denoise. We'll open this one as well. We already have an app for it. Don't remember doing this. It won't work. It won't run anyway. There's some. It's not a bad start. Well, we obviously don't know why there's so many globals. I suspect this was generated by GitHub Copilot. Okay, let's see. So we have the data file copied 10 times everywhere that we don't actually need. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a GitHub. Can change the name to Copilot index. Index HTML is this current thing that we should get rid of. This was the old LabVIEW stuff. HTML was generated. It's not great at all, really difficult to work with. So we can pop it into our the info. It should be legit. There should be a better description. Yeah, we can ignore the play speed and play button for now, as we did in the current tool. Where's our...
This is a detailed description of a user interface and its functionality related to the analysis of EEG, electroencephalogram, signals, particularly focused on wavelet-based noise removal and signal visualization in both the time and frequency domains.
Can I move my mouth as if it's me talking?
The tool employs a wavelet-based noise removal algorithm. By default, wavelet denoise and discrete wavelet transform are turned on. When the discrete wavelet transform is turned off, the undecimated wavelet transform is employed. The interface allows users to observe changes within different frequency bands either by clicking play or by scrolling through the file.
Right. So obviously, okay, this all can go into our folder. Oops. But just right. It's already in Ava. No, it's not in Ava. Can I move it in there? Move. What? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's don't get it. And let's open containing folder. No, this should be all placed in Ava. Right. Yes, we have data. Can only have the one file here. And no, we're not moving. We are copying it. That's right. Okay, I have this info. Let's not copy this. Or should we just copy everything? Right. So we have that, and we need the templates and static. And yeah, the name would be different. So I have to remember to change the name. Templates, static. And this is the app. And this info file. Essentially should be changed to that. Yeah, won't worry about the play button or play speed for now. We are creating a Flask app. We have the tool employs a wavelet-based noise removal algorithm. Yeah, that's right. We need that, so we're creating a Flask application. Yeah, we're not using LabVIEW anymore. Just Python. That's the source of the data. That's correct. Now input, have this file. No, it's not through different data files, it's through the same same data that we loaded into that is currently being loaded. The loaded data. Yeah, we ignore the play button and play speed for now. A channel number, and that's correct. Window size, yeah, default of 10 seconds is fine. Now yeah, we have the trend, so that should bring the signal around 0. This actually can be ranging from 0 to 5. We tend to, larger filter water used to cause all sorts of grief. Toggle that when turned on, always the non-filtered spectrum below. Overlays, yeah, the whole spectrum. That's correct. Frequency scale. That's right. Now, this is the important bits. Probably let's just put them in first. The wavelet, the noise. Yeah, these three. Okay, so this is what we currently have. That's the simple frequency domain review. We're using the same data. And this is what we want. Again, we'll ignore the play and play speed for now. Yeah, we want this description as well. Or is it already there? Oops. Yeah, we mentioned this at the bottom there. This is the folder structure. It should be the same as we had for the previous tool. This is, by the way, what it used to look like before we moved to the new server. Right. So I think GPT-4 has all this already. This will be called same name with the noise. We can pop this one in because we'll need to regenerate all these files. Yeah, that's fine. We can delete some of those because this were the problems. With the previous code. Right, so we are obviously not ready to deploy anything because it will be at the moment the same as what we had for the previous tool for this one. Let's run it locally just to see if it's working. No, wait. Yeah, this one. Just have to make sure I'm not confusing between them. Just minimize the previous one. Have the index for it, static, and the JavaScript. Okay. So let's pop in the HTML just so it has a context. Yeah, we don't actually need a summary. We can manage just for you for context. And then we have this JavaScript. Yeah, it's okay, we don't need to explain it as well. The most important thing is this Python code. Stop generating. And now the trick question. So we need these 3 to be added. Yep, new parameters. Yeah, you're getting the you know what to do. This is the Python wavelet library. It's actually confirmed with GitHub Copilot. Yep. Yeah, obviously suggesting the same thing. New parameters. Yeah, so we don't have them in the HTML code yet. Yeah. Can you do that? So we're adding a new library. This for, oops. Wavelet analysis. We have those 3 variables, additional variables. Where shall we stick them to? Do we normally put the variables next to the function? I don't know. Okay, in HTML, I don't like the fact that it didn't create a new function. Okay, in the form, this should be clearer. In wavelet settings, there's another form. Do we already have a form? And no. So this is an extra form. Should it go? No, let's put it up top. Can we pop it in there? And let's run this. So this will be in the local environment. Right, so that's how the development thing will look like. Yeah, we have the wavelet, the noise. Why do we need fetch data? Yeah, we're not using Ajax at the moment. Okay, so now thing is we need some sort of noise measurement thing, because we have a noise performance. Yeah, we'll like those. So like additional output like this. Right. because I'm pretty sure the problem with this is if I tell it to regenerate the whole Python, it will stuff things up. I suspect it will remove some of the functionality that we already have. I mean, I don't think I can do it myself, so we'll have to just try it out. If you don't mind. The other thing is we want to make sure, so start popping. Yeah, that's what it doesn't have yet. Make sure the outputs are updated. After input changed by user. Pop this in. All the outputs are updated after any input changed by user. And then we'll start regenerating the code. Hopefully it doesn't mess up what we did prior. Yeah, this is when GPT-4 becomes super slow. I don't know what it means, if it's just random or am I overloading it already? Right, we don't need the code yet. Can you because it mentioned Ajax to capture user input. The current code I have is not using Ajax. Don't wanna prime. Well, I don't know which one is better. Um, we can do this at the end. Right. So the index HTML can just regenerate the whole code. Okay, this has a lot of missing stuff. Why? Okay, stop. What's the problem? Know how to make it update, regenerate the whole code, common changes within the code. Come on, this generate all the necessary script. To know how to make it generate the whole thing. Oh, come on. No. It keeps ignoring me. What? It just it doesn't have the current code. I don't like the update buttons. Do we have to must have the update or any alpha buttons? What? and make sure no update or any other buttons are used. Yeah, I'll stop generating. Again, I don't know how to. Updated HTML file. Comment changes. Okay, now it's actually seemed to be generating the whole thing. Ah, no. Okay, we have those already, pretty sure. Okay. Edit channel select. The noise checkbox. Can this be as separated? Oops. Let's go into separate lines. Yes. This could be just yeah, it's okay. Let it be a drop down. A number of levels. Right. It should be in the JavaScript. There's another output though. Yeah, the problem with this too. Not a separate plot containers. Output this one. We'll have this too. That there is okay. Logo is okay. Script.js is okay. Google Leads, it's fine.
The entire set of input controls is wrapped within a less than form greater than. This ensures that we can capture any changes made to the input fields and submit the form, which will send the updated parameters to the server. Added new input controls for wavelet denoise, discrete wavelet transform, and levels are specified. Placeholder less than div greater than elements for the SNR and MSE outputs are added. The server will populate the appropriate values here when the form is submitted. The JavaScript at the bottom adds an event listener to each input element inside the form. Whenever any input's value changes, change event, the form gets automatically submitted, form, submit, which sends the updated parameters to the server and refreshes the page with new outputs.
Is this analysis for do I have to use it? So in the HTML, what? Form action. Why is it there? Yeah, don't like it. Well, mainly because we're not currently doing this. Do we have to wrap all the input elements? Okay, does this have the const my chart? What? No. What? No. Frequency scale. So that's fetching it by ID, is it? So this should be by the that's new. Then we have wavelet transform. Levels. Right. We have those two outputs. They're just placeholders. Are the correct names? Yes. Full of network errors to GPT-4. Suspect just kind of gives you clues what's gonna happen to this service. I think it's gonna go down, but have to wait and see, and also not rely on it 100%. So why can't I use the same function? Uh, so what's the difference between A versus fetch data and render? It should be the same.
Both fetch data and update outputs and fetch data and render are indicative function names, but they suggest slightly different actions. Let's differentiate them. Fetch data and update outputs. Fetch data. This indicates that the fetch data and update outputs. Fetch data. This indicates that the function is responsible for getting data, presumably from an external source or server. Update outputs. After fetching, the primary responsibility of this function seems to be updating certain outputs, which could be various UI elements or data displays on a web page. Fetch data and render. Fetch data. Similar to the first, it indicates fetching or obtaining data. Render. The word render is commonly used in web development and design to mean drawing or displaying something on the screen. This function name implies that after fetching data, the primary responsibility is to render or display it, possibly by updating the user interface, drawing charts, or updating components. Fed data and update outputs emphasizes the act of updating specific outputs or placeholders in an already rendered UI. Fed data and update.
Give me like generic stuff.
Fed data and update outputs emphasizes the act of updating specific outputs or placeholders in an already rendered UI.
Let's update the current function that we already have instead of adding a new one. Now we don't have the form anymore, remember? Are we converting to JSON? Don't think so. Oh yeah. Don't understand why aren't you updating the current code? Do we need to start a new chat or something? Yeah, let's do a new one. So if we have this HTML, stop generating. Then we have this JS. Will it pick up on what needs to be fixed?
There's commented out code related to play button functionality and a play speed control. If these features are intended to be implemented in the future, the respective code can be uncommented and integrated.
Now can I ignore code related to play button? Where's the... This need to be replaced by updated with the actual parameters. Can you focus on this one? We had it in the previous code and it's working fine, so I'm not sure what's the deal.
Certainly. Let's update the fetch data and update chart function to fetch data using the appropriate parameters similar to the fetch data and render function.
Do we need both fetch data and fetch and render?
Upon closer inspection, both functions essentially perform the same action. They fetch data and then render it. The distinction mainly seems to be the way they are triggered, one by the scroller and other controls and the other by timer.
Yeah, we can just
You can indeed
combine.
merge the two to make the code cleaner and more efficient. Here's how you can consolidate the functions. Merge into a single function. Use fetch data and render as the base and make sure it accepts an optional second parameter. Update the function calls. Wherever you're calling fetch data and update chart, second, replace it with fetch data and render, second.
So this seemed to be quite specific, which is good. And let's just create a copy of this quickly, just in case we stuff something up. How about is this the complete thing? Endpoint base, that's right. Channel select the window size, the trend toggle, filter order, whole spectrum, frequency scale. Wait. Frequency. Yeah, okay, it's a bit weird. Yeah, why is that? Second null. Right, that's using that variable. This should be the same. Fetch API URL, response JSON, then data. We don't need logging there. Plot new plot in the stat playback function. Replace fetch update current second. Yes, so we only use we wanna only use the one function. So that can be commented out. Get just 52. Yeah, the playback is actually not there. And let's restart just to make sure everything's working. That's working okay. Right, let's clear this for a sec. Clear console. It's not a JSON. JavaScript 54. just pop the whole thing in with the errors. See what it says.
The value of start second in the URL is %5 object plus event %5d, which URL decodes to object event. This suggests that the event object itself is mistakenly being passed as the value for the start second parameter, rather than the actual value you want.
This event listener input function. What?
Ensure that when you're calling fetch data and render from an event listener, you're not accidentally passing the event object. Ensure that when you're calling fetch data and render from an event listener, you're not accidentally passing the event object. If you intended to pass a value from the event to fetch data and render, you should extract it properly. It's good practice to handle potential errors from the server in your fetch call. Lastly, since you're seeing a 500 internal server error, I recommend checking the server logs for more details about what went wrong. The Flask logs should give you more information about the cause of the error, allowing you to diagnose and fix any issues with your server-side code.
Okay, let's clear this for a sec.
The server-side error traceback makes clear what the issue is. The Flask root get_data tries to get the start second parameter from the request and convert it to an integer using. However, it's receiving object event as the value for start second, which is what we suspected from the client-side error, and obviously, Python can't convert object event to an integer, resulting in a value error. You need to ensure that start second is getting the correct value when forming the request URL. In the fetch data and render function, when you construct the parameters, make sure you're providing a valid integer value.
This is the same.
Ensure that file scroller value is indeed an integer, or a string representation of an integer, and not an event object or some other non-integer value. Also, double-check any other places where fetch data and render is being called to make sure that if an argument is passed, it's the expected integer, or null. Also, double-check any other places where fetch data and render is being called to make sure that if an argument is passed, it's the expected integer, or null.
Yeah, we put in null. It should in theory start in the beginning of the file. Okay, I'm not having much luck today. We regenerate that last response.
The Python traceback you've provided clarifies the issue. Your Flask server is encountering a value error when it attempts to convert the value of the start second parameter into an integer. This error occurs because the start second parameter is being passed as object event, which is clearly not a valid integer. This problem is arising from the JavaScript side of your code, where the start second parameter is incorrectly being set. The root cause is in the way fetch data and render is called or how its parameters are handled. Fixing the JavaScript code ensure proper argument passing. Make sure that when you call fetch data and render, you pass the correct argument for second. It looks like you're passing the whole event object instead of a specific value from it. Here's the event listener that might be causing the problem. JavaScript copycode file scroller. Add event listener, input, function, fetch data and render. If fetch data and render is supposed to use a value from file scroller, you need to pass this value explicitly. For example, if file scroller is an input element and you want to use its value, it should be something like this. JavaScript copycode file scroller. Add event listener, input, function, const second equals parseInt, file scroller, value, 10, fetch data and render, second. Adjust the logic according to what file scroller is and what value you need from it. Debugging. If you're still facing issues, add console logs to debug. For example, JavaScript copycode function fetch data and render, second equals null, console.log, fetch data and render called with second. Rest of your code. This will help you to verify that the function is receiving the correct parameter. Validate on Flask side. As an additional safeguard, you might want to add validation on the Flask side to handle any unexpected parameter values gracefully. For example, Python copycode at app.root, get underscore data, def get underscore data, try, start underscore second equals int, request, args.get, start second, 0, accept value error, start underscore second equals 0 hash or handle this scenario as you see fit hash. Rest of your function by ensuring that the correct value is passed from the JavaScript front end and adding some safeguards on the Python back end, you should be able to resolve this error.
Don't actually understand. Can you make it clearer? So what the problem is?
Your Flask backend is throwing an error because it's receiving a string object event instead of a valid integer for the start second parameter.
Okay. What's the solution?
Ensure that you're passing the correct value for the second parameter to fetch data and render.
Does it have a second parameter? It only has one parameter.
When you call fetch data and render inside the file scroller event listener, you're not passing any argument, which results in the function receiving the event object itself as the second parameter.
Okay, I'm not passing any parameter, I mean. No, I don't want to change the Python code. That's working okay. When changing. Okay, can we get rid of all that? To fix. Ooh.
You've already implemented the recommended change in the JavaScript to address the issue of passing the event object event, to the fetch data and render function. Specifically, you updated the file scroller event listener to pass the scroller's value correctly. However, to ensure full robustness and avoid potential issues in the future, I'd recommend a few additional changes.
Well, first of all, I'm still getting errors. Let's restart the application for a sec. Should be, so it's running okay the first time around. The file scroller is working well. The frequency spectrum is updating okay. Now problem is those, I do not expect those to work yet. It won't be, they're not actually connected anywhere. But say when changing the channel number, I get this error. That's not cool. So I'm getting a 500 response. How do we fix it? I'm still getting, because we combined two functions together that weren't actually meant to be there.
The error message you're seeing suggests that somewhere in your JavaScript code, an event object is being passed as the start second parameter to the fetch data and render function. Given the provided code, you've correctly ensured that the event isn't being passed in your file scroller event listener.
Okay, so what's the problem is?
For all the event listeners that call fetch data and render, pass an explicit value instead of relying on a default null or event object.
Right, so the problem would be with this, JavaScript. This last call, is it? Right, so I need to change all of those.
Add default parameter in fetch data and render.
Right, or just add default. Okay.
Modify the fetch data and render function to handle null or any other unexpected values.
Right, so this should resolve any we don't want to change the Python code because I know it's been working. Right, well now it's working okay. Yeah, so it's the default value for the fetch data and render function. Those are okay. It's trying to put in Google Ads and things in non-production code. Right. So that helped. Size working. The trend. Yeah, the trend just making sure the signal is centered around the 0. Because sometimes, it's not making much change, but this is all working. Yeah, this is overlaying the whole spectrum. In production, it will look it will look a bit better, like this. So this is the previous tool we have. Over here, and currently working on this one, the EEG noise removal, which will look the same, but you will have this extra wavelet denoise function where you can select discrete wavelet transform or undecimated and select the number of levels. Right, this needs to be updated as well. Well, that's why it's not in production yet. This data has a seizure in it, this EEG. I think it's mainly coming from one side of the brain than the other. Yeah, this will max out at 60, so I'm not even sure why the can actually, right. Oh, come on, those tiny bits are so annoying. So you can manually, it's actually quite surprising, can manually add the, so this is the whole seizure. No, something is wrong. No, so it's coming from because we have 8 channels on one side of the brain and 8 channels on the other side of the brain. So the seizure is actually starting, I think it's the left, 0 to 7, and then 7 to 15 would be the right, where the seizure essentially more visible later. So it's what it used to be called secondary generalized, where seizure is starting locally and then spreading throughout the brain. So when default, if I restart the page to the default values, so this is the epicenter. Yes, I'm not joking. There was some papers, some attempts to compare seizures to what's called earthquakes. And yes, it's a bit like an earthquake in the brain. So in this case, comparing your baseline, so after seizure, and delta to theta ratio could be handy, because currently it's about, was it third, and during seizure, in some places, during seizure, it's about 1-to-1 ratio almost. So higher a frequency component, a power in higher frequency components. That's not always the case, so yeah, I have to be careful with these things. Anyway, and yeah, so this tool is available on the page. You can go check it out. Let me know what you think, what I can improve, any questions, suggestions, comments, requests. Stop doing this is not accepted comment. Right, let's get back to this, because we're trying to add the wavelet denoising functions. I think we're kind of almost there. Okay, that works. How about the new inputs related to wavelet the noise they okay, let's start from here. But let's see what the bot got to say.
To integrate the new inputs related to wavelet denoising into your JavaScript and the request to the Flask backend, you need to update both your JavaScript code and Flask code. Here's a step-by-step guide on how to do it.
Okay, that's great. So you understand the context.
First, you'll need to extract the values from the new input elements and add them to the params object that gets passed to the Flask backend.
Right. So in a fetch data and render function, we need to add extra parameters as such.
Next, add event listeners for these new elements.
Right, we need a comma there. Yeah, we don't want to be tripped over little things. So where are our current event listeners? Okay, we're adding more here. Now, in the Python,
In your Flask group that handles the get_data endpoint, you need to extract these new parameters from the request and process them accordingly. Here's a sample update.
yeah, I don't like sample. Sample means it's not the whole code. Get data. Not using the frequency scale. Why? And why is this defaulting to linear? Uh, default value to be returned if the key can't be looked up. No, this actually should be what the GitHub Copilot doing anything at all? Is it called log? Don't think so. I know it is called log. Okay, so default should be log. This parameter is not actually being used, so right. Anyway, we need to add this 3 and process the data. Let's see some comments.
Remember, the exact implementation of how you use these parameters in the backend depends on your application's requirements and the wavelet denoising logic. Use the extracted parameters related to wavelet denoising to process the data as required.
Yep.
This could involve applying a wavelet transform, denoising the data, and then using the inverse wavelet transform to get the denoised data.
Sounds good. Okay, we're ready. Installed. Wait, did we just? Ah, right. No, that's okay. Can save that. What's the difference between versus pi wavelets?
Both PYWT and Pi wavelets refer to the same library.
Right.
Pi wavelets is the name of the project, and PYWT is the name of the Python module you import when you're using a library in your code.
Okay. So you made a mistake there. Ah, no. Okay. And I already have it installed. Yeah, well, first it's not indicating an error. The error there is that it's not being used, but I'm pretty sure I have it installed already.
Here's a simple example of how you might use wavelet denoising in the context of your Flask endpoint.
Okay, this is very basic. It's missing a lot of code.
This is a very basic implementation of wavelet denoising. In practice, you might want to fine-tune the thresholding strategy, consider other wavelet functions, or incorporate additional denoising techniques. Furthermore, the exact steps and parameters can vary based on the nature of the data and specific requirements of the denoising process. If your application has specific requirements, or if you're working with a specific type of data, like EEG data, you might need more specialized processing.
Right. Well, first of all, that's why we have the input parameters, so you can change and play with it and see what difference does it make. Let's see. This simple example is okay. Make sure the input values from the HTML form are being used all. So we have 3 of them. Wavelet denoise on and off. Have an option between discrete and non-discrete, undecimated, and a number of levels, which is the number of levels in the discrete wavelet analysis. Yeah, we need more context about that. Okay, so we're integrating something.
Of course. Let's integrate the inputs from the HTML form into the wavelet denoising process.
Yeah, that's what I just said. We have wavelet denoise.
Wavelet denoise, a checkbox to decide whether to use wavelet denoising or not.
And this one as well.
Wavelet transform, a drop-down or similar to select the wavelet type, like dB1, dB2, etc.
Right, so this should have more input in it. That would be nice actually to have different types of wavelets selected.
Levels, an input to determine the level of decomposition.
And that sounds legit.
In the Flask endpoint, we need to retrieve these values from the request and use them accordingly.
Okay, so we're already doing that. Yeah, we don't have dB1 in the HTML levels. Can we add more options? Can what? No, I like dB1, dB1, dB2. Okay, maybe something else. Let's check. And can it give us this one? More wavelet types. Yeah, give me some other ones.
Terms dB1, dB2, and so on refer to Dorbuch's wavelets. In wavelet analysis, the Dorbuch's wavelets are a family of orthogonal wavelets characterized by a maximal number of vanishing moments for some given support. In simpler terms, the wavelets have properties that make them useful for signal compression and noise reduction.
How about other type of wavelets used for EEG? Yeah, I know what the EEG is. Yeah, MOLED. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so we have those. DB1, DB2 should be enough.
As mentioned before, these wavelets are popular due to their compact support and orthogonality. Depending on the number of vanishing moments, i.e., the number after dB, they can capture different features in a signal. This wavelet is particularly popular in time-frequency analysis of EEG signals. It offers a good balance between time and frequency localization, making it suitable for analyzing oscillatory activities in the EEG.
Setting Mexican hat. That should be plenty. More wavelet types. Okay, let's refresh this page. Where are the charts? Jason 103. What's the problem?
The error message uncaught type error cannot read properties of null, reading, and event listener is a common JavaScript error that occurs when you try to access or manipulate an HTML element that doesn't exist or hasn't been rendered yet. In the error you provided, the issue is happening on line 103 of the file eeg.js. The error message indicates that you're trying to attach an event listener to an element that is currently null.
Is it null? There's a value. Stop the app for a sec. Start it again. Okay, it's not running yet. Now it's running. Yeah, it's the problem. Check the element ID. The element ID didn't change the element ID. Okay, there was some problem with the microphone. I don't know what happened. Should be better now. Yeah, I only changed added stuff to this. No, there's still playing up. It's really weird. My microphone's playing up. Okay, is it better now? Have to check what's up. No. We quit that. Okay, it's still playing up.